Live, updated at 15:16. President Donald Trump insists the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities was a success, but insisted the bombing strike obliterated Tehran's nuclear program, setting it back decades. Speaking at the NATO summit, Trump compared the U.S. operation to the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. Those attacks on Japan killed an estimated 150,000 to 246,000 people, mostly civilians. That hit ended the war. I don't want to use an example of Hiroshima. I don't want to use an example of Nagasaki, but that was essentially the same thing. That ended that war. This ended that with the war, he said. A leaked preliminary intelligence assessment is said to have found that the U.S. military strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend did not destroy the country's nuclear program. Trump admitted the early intelligence was very inconclusive, before doubling down on his claims the attack destroyed the nuclear sites. Later on Wednesday, an Iranian confirmed the country's nuclear sites had been badly damaged. Earlier, Trump claimed he stopped the war, as a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Iran appeared to hold. It was my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities and capability, and then stop the war, he said. Trump confident war is over because both Iran and Israel are tired and exhausted. 15:16 Rachel Clun. Asked what made him confident the war was over, Donald Trump said it was because he dealt with both of them. They're both tired, exhausted, he said. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently, and they were both satisfied to go home and get out. But he added, and can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon. U.S. President doubles down on comparison with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 15:12 Rachel Clun. Saying the U.S. strikes on Iran ended the war, Donald Trump again compared the attack to the World War II bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It ended the war. Somebody said in a certain way that it was so devastating. Actually, if you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki, you know that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way but was so devastating, he said. Trump cites Israeli nuclear watchdog's assessment of Iran damage. 15:09 Rachel Clun. Donald Trump has cited the Israeli nuclear watchdog, which we reported a little earlier. This is an official letter and the very serious people, as you know, he said. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility totally inoperable. It was devastated, he said, citing the statement. After reading the letter, he said, so sad that whole thing had to go. Trump claims victory over increased NATO defense spending target. 15:05 Rachel Clun. The U.S. president is now claiming victory for getting the 32 NATO allies to agree to lift defense spending to 5% of GDP. It's really been a big focus and a very historic milestone this week. The NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it," he said. It's a monumental win for the United States because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It's quite unfair, actually. But this is a big win for Europe and for actually Western civilization. Trump reiterates Iran's strikes were very successful. 15:02 Rachel Clun. Donald Trump is now speaking as the formal part of the NATO summit ends, reiterating the success of America's offensive against Iran's nuclear sites. Benjamin Netanyahu claims critical nuclear infrastructure in Iran was destroyed. 14:50 Rachel Clun. Israel's prime minister claims Iran's nuclear program has been set back many years, following the U.S. attack on the sites. In a statement released through Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office, the Israel Atomic Energy Commission, IAEC, said, the devastating U.S. strike on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility inoperable. We assess that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, combined with Israeli strikes on other elements of Iran's military nuclear program, has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons by many years. The statement continued, the achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material. The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog says there is a chance that much of Iran's highly enriched uranium survived Israeli and U.S. attacks because it may have been moved by Tehran soon after the first strikes. Israel repeatedly struck Iranian nuclear facilities during its 12-day war with Tehran, and U.S. forces struck Iran's underground nuclear facilities with bunker buster bombs on the weekend. So far, the extent of the damage to Iran's stocks of enriched uranium remains unclear. International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi said that earlier this week, Iran had informed the body that on the first day of the Israeli strikes, it was taking special measures to protect its nuclear materials. They did not get into details as to what that meant, but clearly that was the implicit meaning of that, so we can imagine that this material is there. Grossi told a press conference on Wednesday with members of the Austrian government. So for that to confirm, for the whole situation evaluation, we inspectors need to return.